Hi everyone, Denise Winokur here. Well, it's the third Thursday of the month, and guess what? We have a great speaker here for you. We're going to talk about furniture restoration today. So check it out. We got a nice crew on this rainy, of course, day in New York. And of course we have wonderful snacks. Yep, so we have a full house. Everybody's getting some nice chow. It's all good. There's our lovely speaker, Leigh. All right, so go and get your cup of tea and your blankie if you're in New York and you're chilly. And we are going to get started in a minute. All right.
If they go direct to my person, I buy from them, buy from them better. Yeah.
In other words, you're like the middle.
I'm a distributor of acquisitions. So if they go directly,
Everybody have what they need? Some good stuff. We're about to get started. Okay, everybody get a refill, whatever you need. All right, well, so happy, of course, that everybody came out today. Crazy rain, like what is going on with this weather? I just can't stand it. Interesting that we're all wearing almost fall colors, right? I mean,
It's not spring.
people who love color, I mean, I do have little butterflies here on the...
That's spring.
You know, that's about as close as spring as it seems to be getting. We do have these on the tree. But anyway, so happy that you're here, third Thursday of the month, and that means that we have our speaker series, which is great. Very excited about that. We have Leigh Fludd Smith, who is actually, they have the wonderful store next door, which is amazing. And there's an ambulance going by, I guess, not for us, nobody in this room.
No.
Thanks, Doug. And we're very excited to have her here to talk about furniture restoration and all that good stuff. And I know for one, I love to go next door to see all the handmade gifts and everything that they have in the store. It's terrific. I'm a big fan. So on that note, Leigh, take it away.
Just checking the time. Thanks you guys for coming out in the rain, and thanks for so many of my friends being here, because it's always good to see smiling, happy, friendly faces. So just sort of by way of introducing who I am, my name is Leigh. I live here in Croton. I lived here for about 20 years, and for about 15 years before that I lived over in Portland Manor. So kind of almost a local after that many years, but I won't really count myself because I wasn't actually born here. I was, however, born in Albany, upstate, and I was born to those parents who, they were the people who would like find stuff on the side of the street and bring it home and fix it up, and then it would become like the family heirloom, right? And this is like late 60s, early 70s, so it's not like now when it's like cool and chic to do it. It was just kind of like a weird thing to do. One of the things that I remember them bringing home first was one of these cable stools. Can you guys see them? They found this on the side of the highway, and for some reason, when they saw this, they immediately thought, dining room table. And
Good thoughts.
so, it was a little wacky. I'm not gonna lie, at that point it was a little wacky. But of course, it didn't fit in their car, so on the side of the highway, they had to take it apart and then go back and forth a few times, bring it home, put it together. A million coats of stain and shellac, and it was beautiful. It was a wonderful conversation piece when people came to our house. I'm not sure that the people who bought our house after thought it was a great piece because we could not, in fact, get it out the door or apart. So we had to sell it with the house. So hopefully they really liked it, or else they took a chainsaw to it. So yeah, that's how I grew up. And when they weren't doing stuff like that, they were taking me to like historic houses, and probably every New England town that has an historic house I visited when I was like this tall, and I actually thought it was really cool. So I am that kind of nerd. My dad, because he was doing stuff like this, was always in his workshop, in the garage, and I used to watch him. I used to watch him in the workshop, and I really loved it. And I can remember when he first let me actually help him with something. The first thing he let me help him with was that radio. And that radio had actually belonged to my grandfather, and had sat in his cellar for a really long time, and it was all destroyed, and the veneer was coming off, and it was water damage. And I was super excited that Daddy let me help him do the sanding and then the shellacking, and he taught me all kinds of stuff about that, and I was like, oh, this is really great. And then when I was in about 5th grade, and I'm totally going to date myself right now, I was in about 5th grade, and we were celebrating the American Bicentennial. And so everything, the whole curriculum that year was all about the colonial times, right, and what people did in the colonial days. And it's kind of crazy because back then they let you do stuff in school. I think about how my kids went to school and what they were allowed to do, and it's like nothing. They let us use saws and hammers and tools, and part of the curriculum was building a 5-board bench, which is really classic colonial construction, and it's, you can make it out of scrap wood. It takes 5 pieces of wood and about 12 nails to make, and you can use that kind of construction to make tables or stools or benches. And so this is the one that I made in 5th grade, and it still exists. It lives in my workshop now. I use it every day. About 2 or 3 years ago, the nails finally started to give, so I actually replaced them with screws, but other than that, it's still in pretty good shape. And after working on these 2 things within about a year of each other, I was completely hooked. There was no way I was going back to not working on wood. It was like my favorite thing. So I did that a lot. It was my hobby, for a lot of years, and I would make things like for my family and stuff. This is a desk that I found for like $5 at a tag sale, and I refinished it for my daughter when she was, I don't know, maybe in about 3rd or 4th grade. She's now 30, so it's like a long time ago. This desk has gone through being, a homework desk, a makeup table, a craft table. Right now, it's next door in my store. We use it as a wrapping station. I have not refinished it. This is still the same finish on it now. So if you go next door to buy something, one of my actually favorite stories about that particular, I have 3 daughters. So that daughter, when she was young, also one day said to me, Mom, my friend so-and-so has a TV in her room. I really want to have a TV in my room. And as parents do, I said, well, you can't have a TV because we can't afford it. I wasn't really thinking. I was like, yeah, we can't afford it. And she looked at me and she said, well, we don't have to buy it, Mom. You can just make it, right? No, I appreciate the thought, but no, Mom's not making a TV. So anyway, this is my hobby. And this picture, this is my dad. And he is working right now. This is him working in my garage. After Julie designed this beautiful addition, my dad came over, and my husband and I share an office. And what I really wanted, we also really like big desks. So I really wanted, in order to sort of make the best use of space, I thought, let's make a partner's desk, and we can both have like 6 feet of space, but it wouldn't take up that much space. So I found a table with a base that I really liked, and I took the tabletop off, and my dad and I took 2 doors from Home Depot and put them together and made a really amazing partner's desk, which we sit at every day. And this is actually my dad showing me how to cut biscuits, which is one of the ways that you put two planks of wood together. And this is that desk. It is huge, and my husband sits on that side with a little cut a hole in the middle so the cables go down, and we actually, face each other when we're working on. I'm not there all the time because I'm down at the workshop. But when we're there, we're working together. So this is another thing that I've done just for me, for my family. We wanted to have in our old house a place when my kids were younger to store all those big Disney videotapes, right? They're big fat videotapes, and we didn't have any storage for them. So my dad had built a set of drawers that fit into a cabinet. And when we moved into this house, there was no cabinet for those drawers to go into. So I got this IKEA set. It's from, back when IKEA actually made stuff out of real wood. And I took the back off and I attached a new back to it, making it extra deep so it could accommodate the drawers. And then I painted it my favorite color, which Lauren will appreciate. The color's red. And you can see there, those are the drawers that I slid in there, and it holds all of our DVDs and the videotapes that we still have because my kids won't let me get rid of them. And then the side cabinet holds all of our CDs. So that's some of the things that I've just done for me, because it was a hobby. It wasn't something that I intended to do for life. When my youngest child went to preschool, I decided I'm going to be an interior designer, and I went back to school and got a degree in interior design. And actually, as an aside, this is when I first came in contact with Denise, because when I graduated and I didn't know what to do, I found her name on the alumni list, and I'm like, oh, she's local, let me call her up. And so I called her, and we talked a lot, and she gave me a lot of really great advice. And I was super excited actually when she moved in next door to us. So anyway, I did interior design for about, 12 or 15 years. And then it kind of got to the point where it was not satisfying me anymore. It wasn't really what I wanted to do with my life. But I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. Life at one point threw me a bunch of curveballs, as life does, and I had to really kind of start to reassess, how I was going to live out the second part of my, kids are grown out, what I was going to do. But I got this client in about 2018, and she had just built a custom house here in Croton, and she needed to be able to work her existing furniture into the space, but then also buy new pieces so that she could, fill the house. And having just built a custom house, there was only so far her budget could go at that point, so we had to get creative about some things. And one of the first things we got creative about was her dining room. So her dining room is open to the living room, and there's a sofa here. And she wanted a console table to fit behind the sofa that would double as a server buffet, when she's serving when she has dinner guests. And we searched and searched and searched, and we couldn't find anything that was in our budget that we really liked. And eventually I found this, I guess online, I don't even know, probably Marketplace. And I said, this is exactly the right size of what we want. It's not your style. And she said, I really do it has a kind of bamboo ledge. She goes, I really do like the bamboo legs, but that's all I like about it. And I said, well, it's the right style, it's the right price. How about if I restyle this for you and make it go with what we wanted to go with, incorporate all the elements? So she kind of took a leap of faith, and she goes, can you do that? And I said, I think so. So this is her old dining room, and she had those chairs, and we bought this table, and she had this beautiful baker's rack that's iron. So those are some of the elements that we had to put into that table. So I took that table, and I added some iron elements to the parts where I took the caning out, and I painted the legs to actually look like the same kind of iron. And the outside is an antiqued off-white that coordinates with some of the other pieces that she had. And so this is how it looks like. So I went from that to that.
Very nice.
Thank you. So that was kind of the first thing. And then later on in her job, she wanted to, she had a home office and she had file cabinets. So she really loved these Restoration Hardware file cabinets, which cost like $1 bajillion and were not in our budget. So I said, well, we could just buy Staples, you know, file cabinets, and I could make them look like that. And she said again, can you do that? I said, I think so. I got spray paint. Let's see what happens. So in her office, she also has a bunch of antique wooden pieces, and so this is what we came up with. I think in the end, actually, we ended up putting an extra wooden shelf up at the top, but it really, you know, coordinated nicely with the sort of industrial look that she wanted and the antiques, pulling in all those elements. And after doing that, it was kind of like, all right, this is pretty good. I could keep doing this. And then the pandemic hit, and I didn't want to go into people's houses because who wants to go into people's houses, you know, when everyone's like going crazy. So I said, now maybe is a good time to pivot and to change and go into a completely different direction. And I said, I'm going to make my hobby into my business. And I have never looked back. It is the most amazing decision I've ever made, and I'm just going to say, if you ever have the opportunity to do what you love and do the thing that makes you happy and brings you peace and allows you to be mindful and that makes your work like actually your happy place, like do it 100%. It is 100% worth it. I've never had a job, and I've had many different careers over the years. I've never had a job that actually makes me so happy doing this. My kids sometimes will, my one daughter who's 27 lives at home, and sometimes she'll come down and it'll be like 8 o'clock at night and she'll go, Mom, have you eaten? You know, have you gone to the bathroom? And I'm like, no, but I'm in my zone, I'm doing my thing. So, yeah, do it. If you have the opportunity to do something that makes you happy, go right ahead and do it. And I'm not a person to start small. As my partner will tell you, my business partner, I am the person who will jump in with 2 feet and go, sure, I can do that, absolutely. So this was actually one of my first jobs as a new furniture refinisher or restoration person. I'm not even sure how you say that. My furniture restorer, refinisher, I don't know. So this, sorry? Refashion, there you go.
Restoration's good.
All right, now you're giving me too many words. I'm back at the beginning. So this sofa, the client had, you know, loved the sofa and spent a ton of money on it, and then got a puppy, and the puppy chewed up the life. And what you actually can't see very well in this picture is that the wooden frame of this sofa has like a kind of faux antique weathered look to it. So in addition to repairing the leg, I also had to match that finish, which is a really fun, actually kind of creative thing to do, artistic thing to do. This was not, the damage didn't go that deep, so I was able to actually fix it with an epoxy putty, I didn't have to like cut the leg off and, you know, build a new leg, which is a good thing. So this is layering on all the colors to get it to look like so that it matched the existing finish, and to put in some extra like little faux wormholes and whatnot. But it came out pretty good. It's you almost kind of can't tell, and that's the goal, right? Is if you can make a repair and not tell that the repair is made. So I was pretty jazzed because that was my first one. I can do this. Yay! This is something that I see pretty frequently because we all have old pieces in our houses, and this top you can see has a ton of water damage and scratches and dings. And for me, when I can take something like that and make it look like that, like it's everything. It makes everything.
How did you do it?
So that one required stripping. First of all, stripping off the top surface, the top finish. And then there were some rings that were some damage that actually had gone down into the wood, so there was some bleaching involved. And then when you bleach, you have to retone to bring back the proper color, so you put like a toner on it. And then, actually, since that top is pretty much solid mahogany, I did have the flexibility of being able to sand more than I would in some cases. And then top coating it. But I'm not showing you the whole thing, but there were like big chunks missing out of the drawer too that had to be rebuilt. But this part was the
Came out
kind
beautiful.
of fun part.
Do you have to use chemicals to take the top off? Like, how do you, that looks so damaged.
Yeah, so
What do you use?
the actual proper way to do it is with chemicals, and sometimes I will sand. It kind of depends on what the piece is and how it's built, how thick the wood is. If I know that I have like some wood, like this was because this top is pretty thick. I knew I had some extra space to do some sanding, but generally the best thing to do is to use the chemical stripper. And I would love to say that I use like the nice eco-friendly like water-based stripper, but to be honest, that doesn't really work that well. I really haven't
Which
found
brand
that.
do you use? Because I've tried. Eco ones don't work at
Well,
all.
this
so
is a whole other conversation. You should see like the conversations in the restorers Facebook group about why I use this and that. That I can find easily around here. I usually use like clean strip if it's something that I need to, that I know is going to need like a kind of more industrial. Jasco is good, but no one sells that around here. So, but clean strip is Jasco, JSCO.
Leigh, did you say that was missing wood in places?
The drawers on here, I don't think you can actually see this picture, but the drawers were missing like chunks of wood. So that was another, like I could fix it with epoxy putty to fill in the spaces and then reblend them.
Leigh, you told me to buy Strippies, which is at Ace Hardware.
Strippies also, yes, that's true.
Okay.
That's true. Thank you. My partner reminds me of things. Strippies is good, yeah. You can get it. You can get that locally too. So what do we have next? I get a lot of like pieces that are broken off, and can you fix that? And for things like that, when it's a small thing like that, again, I'll use like the epoxy putty and just like rebuild that. And you put it on, you mold it, it's very much like a clay. And then it dries, and it dries to pretty much the hardness of wood, sometimes even a little bit harder than wood. And then you can sand it and carve it and get all that detail back into it. So that's how this is fixed. I get super excited at things like this. Just like, I know it's like a stupid nerdy thing, but you know, I looked at this and I'm like, okay, so I have to build up the wood again so that, because the hinge where it came out has worn out the wood, I gotta build it up, I gotta make it structurally sound, I gotta be able to have the screws go back in and stay, you know, have enough tooth to hold on when they're in there, and then make the hinge look good, and then make the whole thing look good. And that requires a lot of thinking and planning and working around the little details, and sometimes I ask people, and sometimes I'll watch like a million YouTubes, and sometimes I'll look at like all of the books that I've collected over the years, and I just like figure it out as I go. But that's like fun, right? That's a lot of fun to be able to like figure that out and then do it.
So you would use the epoxy putty to put in there?
In here, actually, I don't know if you can really tell, but this part was really dug out pretty deeply. So in that one, I made a plug of another piece of wood, stuck that in, and then did it that way. Yeah. This is actually the same piece that the hinge was on.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that came out beautiful.
Thank you. So yeah, this one of the feet, the two claw feet on the front, one was missing 2 toes and the other was missing, like you see, most of the foot. The one that was missing 2 toes, I actually had one of the toes, so I was able to like do that repair kind of easily. This one though, what I had to do was make a mold from the foot that I had already repaired, and then use wood and the epoxy putty to go into the mold to make the shape of the foot. And because, you know, your left foot and your right foot don't look exactly the same, I had to then kind of backwards carve it so that it would look like the right foot on the right side of the thing. And so, yeah, it came out, you know, it's all right.
How did it get like that?
I don't know. This piece, I'm gonna show you. This is this piece beforehand. And that's where the hinge is broken.
Wow.
The feet are broken off. There were
That is a
little
beautiful
chunks
job.
of the veneer, little chunks
Wow.
of veneer missing on the side. This actually is one of my favorite jobs that I've ever done, and
Yeah, I can see why. It's really beautiful.
thank you. But it's kind of it's my favorite because the woman who gave me the privilege of working on it, she had gotten it from her grandmother, and her grandmother was very upset that it had gotten to this state while it was in storage. And actually, there's a top to it. I didn't actually show the top because this is the part that I really love. But when it was finished and it went back to her house, and her grandmother, who was still alive, came inside, and she emailed me later, and she says, my grandmother saw it and she actually started crying.
Aww.
And I was like,
That's
wow,
good.
that's great, right? So this is like one of my favorite pieces because I knew that it really made somebody.
So you're able to do it even when there's that looks like solid wood, but you're saying was a veneer in there?
So it is, when you get like old construction, frequently what you'll get is like a solid hardwood underneath and then a thinner piece of wood veneer. So like the mahogany on the front is actually a piece of wood veneer over, I don't remember what this was, maybe, I don't remember what the base was. But it's not like what we think of veneer now, because now we think of veneer and we think like IKEA. It's not like it's actual like wood, but just sliced really thin.
So do you get a replacement of the same type of wood? How do you fix that?
Sometimes I do. In this particular one, I don't think I had to. I don't think I had to get a whole piece. But I have different suppliers that I'll go to that have, there's one guy in particular that I love and I go to as often as I want because she has a lot of sort of more exotic and older looking woods. You can't really get mahogany now the way you used to be able to, so if you find, now that I found someone that really usually has good slices of it, I'll get it there. Sometimes I can just patch a little piece because now I have scraps, right? So I have scraps of all different kinds of wood. So sometimes I can just patch in a little piece. But occasionally, yeah, you do have to do a whole side, a whole, long piece. Okay, so where are we? All right. This table came to me missing a foot, missing one of the lion's paw feet, and they're brass. And so this is how I do the molding. I took the original foot and I put a molding putty over it. It's like a putty you put it in the microwave and it softens and you put it over top and it creates a mold. And then I took the epoxy putty that I use, which is quick wood, or the Mohawk version of it, if anyone is taking notes, and you push that in. And this one I had to be very actually careful and specific because I needed it to fit around this part that's broken, because I needed it to slide onto the foot. So I make the mold, I make the piece, it dries, and then it's a process of carving out to get the detail in, and then it's a process of layering on all of the different colors, and sometimes it's paint, and sometimes it's stain, and sometimes it's gilding wax, especially if you're working with brass. And you just keep layering until you get it to look the way you want it to look. And so this is the original brass one. That's the one that I made. When you look down at that table, you don't even notice that that's not a brass foot.
No.
Leigh, that's amazing. I
That
just
is
have to tell
amazing.
you.
That is
I'm
amazing.
telling you, right? This is the fun stuff.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
stuff I love.
I never knew that that's how it's created. Like, I'm amazed. Like,
I could
wow.
sit, honestly, at my workbench, and Lorraine has seen me do this, sit at the workbench for like hours with like a little tiny paintbrush, like, ooh, let me get that little bit in
Lot of
between the toes,
patience.
let me get that right. Yeah.
A lot
I
of
mean, you know what it is? I
patience.
get in my zone.
That's
And I'm just
exactly
like, I'm
what it
gonna do
is.
I'm
You
just-
get in the
yeah.
zone and it comes out beautiful.
Yeah. So that's one. This is, I don't generally do upholstery because that's a whole other art form that I am just not, that's not in my wheelhouse. But I will do like seat covers. And something that I see occasionally, and more lately as people bring me things, is what's peeking out of here is horsehair. And horsehair is kind of gross to some people. It can be kind of gross. But when you have a piece, and this is like authentic of the period arts and crafts style bench. So my client really wanted it to maintain its value and its historical integrity. And if you're going to do that, the best thing is to not replace it with foam. You should take the horsehair out, wash it, fluff it, put it back in, which is a very, very messy thing. Take a big Rubbermaid with warm water and some vinegar, and actually sometimes I'll put in a little hair conditioner. Not soft, but smell great. And let it soak for like a long time, and then you squish it. And then I have a big, long mesh thing with different shelves in it. It's actually meant for drying herbs, like if you grow herbs in your garden. And I just separate it out and put some on each shelf and hang it outside to dry in the sun, which is the best way, just in case there's anything the sun is gonna, make sure there's no bacteria or anything left. They say you can put it in a pillowcase in your dryer, but I have never been brave enough to do that. So, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, this was a fun thing also because I don't normally work with leather, with like actual leather, so I had to learn all kinds of things like that you buy a hide, like a whole hide, and what part of the hide is gonna actually fit the piece that you have. So I'm always learning. I'm always looking for new things, finding new things. Like I said, I will read every book, I will watch every YouTube, I will call anybody. I'm in a lot of restoration groups, so I'm always asking questions, and almost every job I'm learning something new. And that also is part of what makes it exciting. So this, and if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen the actual video of this. This is a mirror frame. It's like one of those old ones that comes down like this, and then the mirror is in the middle, and it's held together by a dowel. And the owner, this had broken, and she had glued it back together. And she lived with it that way for a while, and then she said, "I really like it to look bright." So there's a whole process for doing that. And in this particular case, I did not want to re-break it because the glue was actually holding pretty strongly. It just looked bad. So I have a solution of vinegar and water, and vinegar is like your best friend. It does so many things. One of the things it does is soften glue. So I use a Q-tip and I put it right over, and eventually the glue will soften and start to come up out. And then I take a very sharp blade and scrape it out. And then I do that again. And I do it again. And you have to be careful to dry in between because you don't want it to soak into the wood, because once it soaks into the wood, then you could be digging out fibers of wood, and you don't want to do that. Once it gets to a depth that is workable, and that you can kind of sand around, because the two pieces are coming together they're not even, they're coming together like this. And since I didn't want to re-break it, I had to be able to make sure that I could make that a smooth transition. So this is just regular wood fill that I used on this one, and then I sanded it down. And then again, begins the process of layering on the stains to get it. You have to have different stains, different colors, because you have a lighter color here, and then you have the wood color. So you layer it on, and then you have to do graining, because this piece, for example, has a lot of grain lines in it. So you want to be able to put those grains in, those grain lines in. And I'll use all different things for that too. I use Prismacolor color pencils, are actually really good. Sometimes stain markers. I will occasionally use paint if it's in the right tone, if I can find one that's in the right tone. Different stains, and it's layer it on, get it to the color you want. I usually spray some lacquer or shellac on to set that level, and then I come back over and do it again. And spray some more lacquer or shellac on, because I want to be able to set those layers. I don't want the next layer to make the layer underneath run. So it takes a long time. It takes a lot of like you said, patience. But in the end, you get a break that you almost can't see. So that's a fun thing. This is just another thing that I get actually kind of frequently is, you get like an old mirror or an old piece of furniture and it's missing this one little piece of trim, and there's no way you're going to find a replacement for that piece. So it's again the process of building it up with the putty. Then once you get it to the size that you want, you're sanding it back down, you're carving it. I use wood carving or pottery tools to carve things down to get them to the exact shape and size and whatever that I want. And then when it gets smooth like that, you do, again, finishing, toning, and try and get it to be as close as it can be so that repair is almost invisible. So that's what I do for a hobby. That's what I did for a hobby that I now do for a business. What I now do for a hobby, what I also always did for a hobby, is I make things. So like at night, after I get out of my zone and they actually make me eat, and my husband and I are sitting down on the sofa watching TV, I make other things. So I make trinket dishes, and I get old jewelry boxes from like the Goodwill, and I finish them, and I make coasters and cabinet knobs and these kinds of things. And this is what we sell in our store next door at Orchid and L. So about 2.5 years ago, myself and my partner Lorraine and our other partners Deandra and Rosemary, who unfortunately are not here tonight, decided that we really wanted to have a store. We wanted to have a place where we could sell the furniture that we restore for resale. My partners all are also accomplished and talented furniture restorers, refinishers. So it was kind of a match made in heaven for all of us. And we all like to do other little crafts on the side. So these are some of the things that we make that we sell in our store. Home decor, shawls, tote bags, jewelry stuff. We have a vintage corner. We sell soap and beard oil and two lines of furniture paint brushes, and decoupage papers and transfers that you can use on furniture. And then one of the things that we really were committed to doing when we opened our store was to support other local artists, and particularly women entrepreneurs. So we have, over the 2 years, we've had several different ones, but we have local women artists who we also sell their materials, their products in our store. So we have stationery and frames and ceramics and jewelry and candles and all kinds of stuff like that. And everything is made, like I said, by a female artist, entrepreneur, and someone who is local to Westchester or, is Barbara Duchess? I don't know.
No, she's
Local.
Mohegan Lake.
Mohegan Lake, okay. So local artists, and we sell their stuff. So I invite you all to, if you like, we will have the store open afterwards. You can come over and peruse. There's on the desk by the door, there are coupons for you all to have and use. And that's pretty much it for me. This is me, where you can reach me. This is the store email address. We both have pretty good websites, if I do say so myself, because I design them. And email addresses, and you can always, contact us anytime. And I'm happy to take questions, or I'm happy to, shut up and let you drink wine. But thank you.
Thank you. How, when those little pieces come off of the antiques, how they get fixed. And I mean, who knew, right? I mean, what an art form. It's like you're a sculptor, and then you're a foam painter, and you're, doing all these amazing things to bring these things to life and keep them circulating in our world, right? And I think that that's amazing. And I don't know if you guys know this, but she was on Channel 2 and done a big documentary on your work. Like
a
was
little,
it
like,
a year ago?
yeah, it was like a year
Tell me
ago.
about that. That was so impressive.
The weather guy, John Elliott.
Yes.
You know, he does this like small business Saturday thing where he'll come and like, you know, visit. And he found me honestly on a list of local Black entrepreneurs because it was Black History Month. He's like, I gotta feature some Black people. And he found me and he came and was like, you know, did a whole you know, thing on me. And then I said to him, well, next month is Women's History Month, so why don't you come to my store and meet my female partners? And you know, so actually he did both of those. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, but it was like a 2-part series. I mean, this wasn't just a couple minutes here.
That's
They
good.
like it was just incredibly impressive, and you so deserve it because you're such a true artist.
And a link to those segments are on our website page. So.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we all learned to do this.
Thank you for having me.
I love having these guys next door. They're like the best. And you really
We
have to
do.
go to
Denise
their
comes
show.
over and visits, and we like hang out.
And the place just, it smells so good because I have all these handmade candles and everything. So you kind of go in there for like a scent to it. That's nice. Yeah. So please visit them, if not tonight, at another time, please. You have her information if you know anybody who needs her services. Also, I have on the desk there the save the date. So we have speakers all the way through to December. So take them and make sure that you put it in your calendar because, of course, we love to see your faces and we want to share this great information because we have a lot of wonderful, talented people around this area. So,
Definitely.
you know,
Yeah, we do.
awesome.
That's excellent.
And we want to thank Polly again. She makes these wonderful homemade things and everything. So go for seconds, have your dessert, we have wine and Pellegrino, and you know, thanks again. Thank you.
Oh my God, was that so incredible? All right, well, if you need to see a little bit more, we will have this on tape, and then I'm going to blog about it, and you can see the pictures from the event, and of course, if you're ever in the area, we'd love to see you in person. So, bye for now, see you in a couple weeks.
Very good.